The final council meeting. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood before the assembled representatives of the Galactic Council, her brown eyes reflecting 4 centuries of human dedication. The crystalline walls of the Grand Assembly Hall seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, but today that energy felt different, tense, almost brittle. After 400 years of faithful service, Elena's voice carried across the vast chamber. Humanity formally withdraws from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. The silence that followed was deafening. High Chancellor Vexthor of the Selthuri merely blinked his compound eyes in sequence, while the gaseous form of Ambassador Cole from the Quirian Collective swirled with what Elena recognized as mild amusement. Neither species had ever truly valued humanity's presence. This is unexpected. Chancellor Vexthor's mandibles clicked. But if the humans wish to depart, we shall not stand in their way. The Council has endured for 10 millennia. We shall continue without your assistance. Elena felt the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. For 4 centuries, humans had served as the backbone of galactic civilization. They had maintained the complex quantum communication networks, managed the interstellar trade routes, mediated countless border disputes, and operated the medical facilities that served dozens of species. Yet still, the Council denied humanity voting rights. Still, they were treated as servants rather than equals. Our decision is final, Elena stated, gathering her documents. All human personnel will complete their withdrawal within the next 72 hours. As she turned to leave, not a single delegate rose to stop her. Their indifference would soon prove to be their greatest mistake. On the human dreadnought New Horizon, Captain Marcus Chen watched the Council station shrink in the view screen. His crew of 8,000 represented the largest human contingent in Council space. Behind them, hundreds of human vessels were already entering hyperspace, their destinations set for Earth, and the 50 human colonies that would now stand alone. All departments report ready for departure, Commander Sophia Reeves announced. Marcus nodded slowly. Take us home, Commander. The New Horizon's massive engines roared to life, and in a brilliant flash of light, the ship vanished into hyperspace. As the stars blurred past, Marcus wondered if they had made the right choice. No more Council protection, no more shared resources, but also no more being treated as second-class citizens. The first problems began manifesting within hours of humanity's departure. On mining station Epsilon 7, the automated ore processors ground to a halt. Station Chief Grixmar of the Valdran Hegemony pounded his armored fist against the control console. Why have the extraction systems ceased functioning? He demanded. His assistant, a younger Valdran, checked the maintenance logs with trembling appendages. The human engineer, Sarah Mitchell, departed yesterday. She was scheduled to perform routine calibrations today. Then perform them yourself. I don't know how, sir. The humans always handled the technical specifications. Similar scenes unfolded across Council space. On the agricultural world of Verdana, vast irrigation networks failed, leaving crops to wither under alien suns. The native farmers discovered too late that human technicians had been manually compensating for design flaws in the original systems, flaws the aliens had never bothered to acknowledge. In the border region between Selthuri and Quirian space, 2 patrol fleets nearly opened fire on each other over a minor navigation dispute. For 60 years, human diplomatic teams had stationed themselves at such flashpoints, diffusing tensions before they could escalate. Now, there was no one to calm the storm. The quantum communication grid that connected the galaxy's countless worlds began to stutter and fail. Messages arrived late, corrupted, or not at all. The network administrator, a 3-meter-tall insectoid named Clickthar, frantically attempted to stabilize the system. I need the human specialist, Dr. James Park, Clickthar chittered to his superior. Dr. Park departed with the other humans yesterday, but he designed these protocols. He knows every circuit, every pathway. Then you should have learned from him while he was here. By the end of the first week, cracks were appearing throughout Council space. Supply ships arrived at wrong destinations. Medical emergencies went untreated. Minor disputes escalated into major conflicts. Chancellor Vexthor convened an emergency session with his closest advisors. "These are temporary setbacks," he insisted, his carapace rattling with agitation. "We shall adapt." The humans were useful, yes, but hardly essential. His military advisor, General Zekminus, disagreed. "Chancellor, the humans maintained peace in 17 border regions. They operated 60% of our cargo fleet. They managed 90% of our interspecies medical facilities. Their absence is significant. Then we shall learn to perform these functions ourselves," Vexthor declared, though uncertainty crept into his multi-tone voice. On Earth, President Sarah Martinez watched the reports streaming in from Council space. Part of her wanted to help. Humans had formed genuine friendships among the alien races, but the Council needed to learn a hard lesson. They made their choice, she told her cabinet. Now they must live with the consequences. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. In the darkness between stars, the first dominoes had begun to fall. The immediate aftermath. 6 months had passed since humanity's exodus, and the cracks in galactic civilization had widened into chasms. What began as minor inconveniences had escalated into full-blown crises that threatened the very foundation of the Galactic Council. Ambassador Kreltak of the Valdran hegemony slammed his armored appendage onto the negotiation table, facing his Quarian counterpart across the room. They were disputing mining rights in the Nexus cluster, a conflict that had simmered for decades but never erupted, thanks to human arbitrators. "The eastern sectors belong to the hegemony," Kreltak roared. "Your claims are baseless." The Quarian ambassador's gaseous form pulsed with violent orange hues. "You dare challenge our ancestral rights. We have extracted resources from those asteroids for 3 millennia. In the past, human mediators would have found common ground, perhaps suggesting a profit-sharing arrangement or rotating extraction schedules. But now, there were no calm voices to prevent escalation. Within hours, Valdran battle cruisers materialized in the disputed zone. The Quarians responded in kind. The first shots were fired before the day's end. On the Council's capital world of Centraxis, Chief Engineer Zixnell stared helplessly at the power grid displays. Red warning indicators flashed across every screen as the city's fusion reactors failed in sequence. "Why is this happening?" Chancellor Vexthor demanded, having rushed to the control center. Zixnell's tentacles writhed in distress. "The systems are too complex. The human engineer, Dr. Lisa Wong, designed these protocols. She left detailed documentation. But what? We can't understand it. She made hundreds of micro-adjustments daily, compensating for quantum fluctuations we didn't even know existed, without her intuitive understanding of the system." The lights in the Grand Assembly Hall flickered ominously. Below, millions of citizens experienced their first blackouts in living memory. Emergency power kicked in, but it was a temporary solution at best. The medical crisis struck hardest. On the desert world of Sahar, Dr. Velnox watched helplessly as her hospital filled beyond capacity. A new pathogen was spreading through the population, something that started as a minor respiratory infection, but quickly turned lethal. "Have you isolated the virus?" asked Planetary Governor Mordun. "Yes, but I cannot synthesize a cure," Dr. Velnox admitted, her scales flushing purple with shame. "This pathogen affects multiple organ systems. In humans, it would be trivial to treat. Their immune systems are remarkably adaptable. But for our species, Dr. Michael Okafor used to lead our xenobiology department. He understood how to modify treatments across species barriers. Can't you contact him? The humans have closed their borders. They're not responding to any communications. Within weeks, the death toll reached tens of thousands. Other species watched in horror, realizing they could be next. The interconnected nature of galactic civilization meant that diseases could spread rapidly between worlds. On Earth, Strategic Command monitored the deteriorating situation. General David Kim watched the tactical displays showing chaos spreading across Council space. Pirate attacks had increased exponentially. Trade routes were collapsing. Border conflicts erupted daily. Should we intervene? His aide asked. Kim shook his head. Presidential directive is clear. They'd wanted us gone. They got their wish. But it wasn't easy to watch. Many humans had formed deep friendships among the alien races. Personal messages flooded Earth's communication networks. Desperate pleas for help, for guidance, for hope. The galactic exchange, the economic backbone of Council space, crashed as trade ground to a halt. Human logistics coordinators had managed the impossibly complex network of shipping routes, customs protocols, and currency exchanges. Without them, the system descended into chaos. Ships wandered aimlessly, their cargo spoiling. Some worlds faced abundance while others starved. On the luxury resort world of Azure Paradise, a sewage treatment failure transformed pristine beaches into toxic waste zones. The planet's wealthy elite, who had never given thought to the human maintenance crews they'd dismissed as menial workers, found themselves facing the consequences of their prejudice. This is temporary, Chancellor Vexthor insisted during a broadcast to all Council worlds. We are adapting. We do not require human assistance. But behind closed doors, his advisors painted a bleaker picture. Chancellor, we've lost control of 4 border regions. Pirate attacks have increased by 1,200%. The medical crisis is spreading to 7 worlds. Food shortages are reported on 22 colonies. What do you suggest? Vexthor asked, his usual confidence wavering. Perhaps we should reach out to the humans. Never. Vexthor's carapace darkened. We are the Galactic Council. We have ruled for 10,000 years. We will not prostrate ourselves before a species barely out of their stellar cradle. His pride would cost billions of lives. As each day passed, the situation deteriorated further. The galaxy was learning a painful truth. Humans hadn't been servants or helpers. They had been the vital connective tissue holding civilization together. The species that could understand and bridge the gaps between radically different life forms, technologies, and cultures. On Earth, children played in parks and families gathered for evening meals, largely unaware of the cosmic drama unfolding beyond their skies. Humanity was thriving in isolation, finally free to chart their own course among the stars. But soon, they would face an impossible choice: watch the galaxy burn, or return to save those who had cast them aside. Let me continue with Part 3. Part 3. The Cascade Effect. 1 year after humanity's departure, the Galactic Council chamber bore little resemblance to its former grandeur. Empty seats marked where several species had withdrawn their ambassadors. The remaining delegates sat in isolated clusters, trust shattered between former allies. Chancellor Vexthor stood before them, his once luminous carapace now dull with exhaustion. The situation remains manageable, he declared, but his words rang hollow in the vast chamber. Ambassador Kulana of the Core Worlds Collective rose, her gelatinous form pulsing with agitation. Manageable? 3 of my agricultural worlds are experiencing famine. Our children starve while cargo ships drift empty in space. The Valdran-Quirian conflict has claimed 50,000 lives, added the Sephiron representative, Kextal. A war that could have been prevented with proper mediation. Vexthor raised his primary appendages. We do not require humans to solve our disputes. We existed before they joined us. We can exist without them. Can we? Quilana challenged. Show us the data. The holographic displays activated, revealing devastating statistics. Trade volume had plummeted by 70%. Pirate attacks increased by 1,500%. 40 colonies faced critical food shortages. The medical plague had spread to 12 worlds, with a death toll approaching 1 million. On the lawless fringes of Council space, the Crimson Fleet ruled entire star systems. Captain Zorax of the dreadnought Death's Promise counted his latest plunder, an entire convoy of medical supplies bound for plague-stricken worlds. The humans kept order here for decades. Zorax laughed, his cybernetic eye gleaming. Now it's our domain. No patrols, no peacekeepers, no consequences. His crew cheered as they divided the spoils. 3 merchant vessels had surrendered without fighting, their crews knowing no help would come. "Captain," his sensor operator called out. "Unknown vessel approaching. Configuration matches. Human design." On the view screen appeared a human battlecruiser, the UES Retribution. Captain Maria Santos, daughter of a legendary fleet commander, hailed the pirate vessel. "This is Captain Santos. Release those prisoners and surrender immediately." Zorax sneered. "Humans have no authority here. This is Council space. Those are civilians from 4 different species. Release them or face the consequences. You wouldn't dare attack us. You'd start a war." Maria's expression remained steady. "We protect the innocent. Always have, always will. You have 30 seconds to comply." Zorax laughed. Empty threats from a powerless. The Retribution's weapon systems activated, surgical strikes disabling the pirate ship's engines and weapons in seconds. The demonstration of human military capability, held in check for centuries by Council restrictions, sent shockwaves through the criminal underworld. Now, Maria continued, about that surrender. News of the incident spread rapidly. Humans were still protecting the innocent, even after exile. The realization struck many species hard. Humanity's withdrawal wasn't born of weakness or spite, but principle. On the industrial world of Nexus Prime, the automated factories ground to a halt. The Mechanarch, supreme intelligence of the machine worlds, processed the cascading failures with growing alarm. Analysis complete, the Mechanarch announced to its organic counterparts. Human technicians performed 1,247 daily micro-calibrations across our industrial network. They possessed an intuitive understanding of machinery that our algorithms cannot replicate. "Surely your computational power can compensate," suggested a council observer. Negative. Humans possessed what they called gut feelings about mechanical systems. They could sense problems before they manifested. This capability defies quantification. The factory world's production dropped to 20% capacity. Without the constant stream of spare parts and equipment, infrastructure across the galaxy began to crumble. The quantum communication network finally collapsed entirely. The last message transmitted was from a remote research station. "Emergency. Reactor breach imminent. Request immediate." The signal cut off. No rescue mission could be coordinated. The station's fate remained unknown. On Earth, the Global Council convened an emergency session. President Martinez faced her advisors, the weight of billions of lives in the balance. "The Altarian plague has jumped species," reported Director Chen of the World Health Surveillance. "It's now affecting the Vortanians and Kelthani. Projected death toll, 5 million within 6 months. Our xenobiology teams could synthesize a cure within weeks," added Dr. Angela Foster. "We understand cross-species protein interactions better than anyone." Martinez stared at the tactical displays showing a galaxy in flames. "They cast us out. They said we were expendable." "The civilians dying aren't the ones who made that decision," Defense Secretary Kumar pointed out. "Children, farmers, ordinary beings who had no voice in council politics." The debate raged for hours. Principles versus compassion. Justice versus mercy. Meanwhile, in council space, systems continued to fail. The great orbital habitats around Zenthera began to lose atmospheric integrity. The terraform engines on New Karth shut down, causing massive climate shifts. The interstellar banking network crashed, wiping out the savings of trillions. Some species attempted to reverse engineer human technologies, but discovered that many systems relied on human intuition and adaptability rather than pure technical knowledge. The humans had designed redundancies and safeguards that only they fully understood. High Admiral Thexmar of the Valdran fleet stood on his bridge, watching his ship struggle to maintain formation. "Navigation systems are failing across the fleet," his operations officer reported. The humans designed our coordinate systems to account for quantum uncertainty, without their constant adjustments. Find a solution, Thexmar ordered. Sir, we've tried. The mathematics involved. Human brains process quantum probability differently. They could intuit solutions we can only approximate. The Admiral watched another ship drift out of formation. The mighty Valdran fleet, terror of the galaxy, was being crippled by navigation errors. In the depths of space, automated human monitoring stations continued their silent vigil. They recorded the collapse, transmitted data back to Earth, and waited. The humans were watching, learning, and preparing. The cascade effect accelerated. Each system failure triggered two more. The interconnected nature of galactic civilization, which had been its greatest strength, now became its fatal weakness. And at the center of it all sat the Galactic Council, paralyzed by pride and indecision. As the anniversary of humanity's departure approached, a terrible realization dawned on the galaxy's leaders. They hadn't just lost a member species. They had lost the keystone that held their civilization together. The darkest times were yet to come. Part 4. The Dark Times. The second year after humanity's exodus would be remembered as the dark times in galactic history. What had begun as inconveniences had evolved into catastrophes, and catastrophes into existential threats to entire civilizations. On the agricultural world of Harvest Prime, Administrator Kellenvar watched helplessly as the last grain silo emptied. The automated distribution systems had failed months ago, and manual coordination efforts collapsed without human logistics experts. "How many days of food remain?" asked Colonial Governor Vexana. 3 days for the cities. Rural areas have perhaps a week. Kellenvar reported, his feathers dulled with stress. The transport ships arrive empty or at the wrong coordinates. Some never arrive at all. What about the emergency reserves? Depleted. We've been consuming them for 6 months. Below them, crowds gathered outside distribution centers. The Avarian species was herbivorous, requiring specific grains that grew only on specialized worlds. Without proper transport networks, those worlds couldn't supply their dependent colonies. "We're looking at potential extinction," Kellenvar whispered. 40 billion souls across 17 worlds. The medical crisis deepened beyond imagination. The Altarian plague had mutated, jumping between species with terrifying efficiency. On the medical research station, Hippocrates 7, the handful of remaining alien doctors worked desperately to find a cure. Dr. Zixnell, now the senior xenobiologist, stared at protein sequences that made no sense. The viral structure shifts every 12 hours. It's like fighting 1,000 different diseases at once. The humans called it adaptive mutation. His assistant noted. Dr. Sarah Chen published papers on cross-species viral evolution. But the journals are in human databases, locked to us now. Even if we had access, Zixnell admitted, I doubt we could understand her work. Humans thought about biology differently. They saw patterns we cannot perceive. The death toll climbed past 10 million. Entire worlds implemented quarantine protocols, cutting themselves off from galactic civilization. The isolation only hastened their collapse as vital supplies stopped flowing. The economic dark age arrived with the complete failure of the galactic standard credit. Without human economists managing the complex algorithms that balanced currency between radically different economic systems, inflation spiraled out of control on some worlds, while others faced complete monetary collapse. On the trading hub of Commerce Station, merchants resorted to barter systems not seen in millennia. The sophisticated financial instruments that had enabled galactic trade simply stopped functioning. I'll trade you 2 tons of deuterium for medical supplies, offered a Kelthani trader. I need food, not fuel, the Vortanian merchant replied. Find someone who needs deuterium, get food from them, then we'll talk. The inefficiency was staggering. Trades that once took seconds now required days of negotiation. Some goods spoiled before exchanges could be completed. The security situation deteriorated beyond recognition. Pirate fleets grew bold, establishing sovereign territories in abandoned sectors. The notorious Black Nebula Syndicate now controlled 7 star systems, extracting tribute from any ship passing through their space. Admiral Krextor of the Coalition Defense Fleet watched his tactical displays with despair. "We've lost contact with patrol groups 7 and 12. Pirates, probably. Should we send reinforcements?" asked his tactical officer. "With what ships?" "Half our fleet is grounded with navigation failures. The other half is protecting core worlds from each other." The border conflicts between council members had exploded into open warfare. Without human peacekeepers maintaining buffer zones, ancient grievances resurfaced. The Quirion-Valdran conflict spread to neighboring systems. The Sephiran and Zentharan trade dispute escalated to orbital bombardments. On Earth, humanity watched the galactic collapse with a mixture of vindication and horror. The Global Defense Council monitored every transmission, every battle, every plea for help. "The Avarian worlds are facing mass starvation," reported Intelligence Director Lisa Park. "Conservative estimates suggest 20 billion deaths within 3 months without intervention." President Martinez stood before the situation displays, her face etched with the weight of impossible decisions. "Can we help them without revealing our full capabilities?" "Negative," replied General Torres. "Any significant intervention would require deploying our emergency response fleet. The galaxy would realize we've been holding back our true technological level." For 4 centuries, humans had deliberately limited their technological demonstrations, working within council restrictions, while secretly advancing far beyond what others suspected. The revelation of humanity's true capabilities would shift the galactic balance of power permanently. "There's another consideration," added Foreign Secretary Singh. "Several species are blaming us for the collapse. They're painting us as saboteurs who deliberately made their systems dependent on human maintenance." "That's absurd," Martins replied. "We begged them to let us train their people properly. They refused, calling it unnecessary expense." "Logic rarely prevails in desperate times," Singh observed. The room fell silent as they watched a Vortanian colony ship break apart in space, its structural integrity failing without proper maintenance. 30,000 souls lost in an instant. Meanwhile, in the depths of council space, some species began to adapt, but in the darkest ways possible. The Exerethi Empire implemented a brutal trade system, abandoning their outer colonies to save core worlds. The machine intelligence of Nexus Prime began cannibalizing inactive factories for parts. On Concordia, once the shining jewel of diplomatic achievement, Ambassador Valon of the Neutral Worlds made a desperate broadcast. "To any human vessels receiving this transmission, we apologize. We were wrong. The Council was wrong. Please, please help us. Not for our leaders, but for our children. They're dying. Billions are dying. We'll accept any terms, any conditions. Just, please." The message reached Earth within hours. It sparked the most heated debate in human history. "They're literally begging," argued Counselor Maria Vega. "How can we turn our backs on dying children? They turned their backs on us for 4 centuries. Countered Counselor James Wright. "We owe them nothing." "This isn't about debt," President Martinez interjected. "It's about who we are as a species. Are we willing to watch billions die to prove a point?" As the debate raged, the galaxy continued its descent into chaos. Supply chains completely collapsed. Interstellar law broke down. Some regions reverted to pre-spaceflight technology levels as advanced systems failed without maintenance. The Galactic Council held what would be its final traditional session. Only 12 of the original 40 species sent representatives. Chancellor Vexthor, now a shadow of his former self, made one last pronouncement. We miscalculated. Our pride has cost us everything. If any humans are listening, we formally request, no, we beg for your return, under any terms you deem acceptable." The chamber, once filled with the proud voices of 40 sovereign species, echoed with the silence of civilizational collapse. In the darkness between stars, automated human sensor platforms recorded everything. The data streamed back to Earth, where humanity faced its greatest moral challenge. The dark times had revealed a fundamental truth. The galaxy needed humanity far more than humanity needed the galaxy. The question now was whether human compassion could overcome justified resentment. The universe held its breath, waiting for Earth's answer. Part 5. The Turning Point. The images streaming into Earth's global command center were apocalyptic. Worlds burning, ships drifting powerless in space, cities dark and silent. The collapse of galactic civilization had reached its nadir. President Sarah Martinez stood before the assembled leaders of Earth's nations, her face grave. The latest estimates suggest a death toll approaching 50 billion. Entire species face extinction within months. The Polish Prime Minister, Jan Kowalski, leaned forward. They cast us out, treated us as servants for 4 centuries. Why should Polish mothers send their children to save those who scorned us? Because that's who we are, replied Dr. Amara Okafor, Earth's lead xenobiologist. We've always been the bridge builders, the healers, the ones who see connections others miss. Can we abandon that nature now? The debate had raged for weeks across Earth's continents. Protests filled the streets, some demanding humanitarian intervention, others insisting the galaxy face the consequences of its arrogance. In the midst of this crisis, an event occurred that would change everything. The human Deep Space Monitor Station Vigilant 3 detected a massive energy signature in the Vega sector. Lieutenant Commander David Chen studied the readings with growing alarm. Captain, we're tracking a cascade quantum failure in the Vegan Collective's main reactor complex. If it goes critical, Captain Torres did the calculations instantly. It'll trigger a chain reaction through subspace. Every quantum reactor within 50 light-years will destabilize. That's 300 inhabited worlds, 2 trillion lives. The data streamed to Earth in real time. President Martinez watched the countdown with her crisis team. They had 6 hours before the cascade became irreversible. Can they stop it themselves? She asked. Technical Director Wagner shook his head. The vegans never understood the quantum resonance principles. We designed those reactors with human-specific safety protocols. Only our engineers can prevent the cascade. Martinez turned to her military advisors. How quickly can we deploy? The emergency response fleet is on standby, Admiral Jackson reported. We can have engineers on site in 4 hours. But, Madam President, this would reveal everything. Our advanced drive systems, our quantum mastery, our true military capabilities. The room fell silent. For 4 centuries, humanity had carefully hidden their technological advancement, working within council restrictions, while secretly progressing far beyond other species. The revelation would permanently alter the galactic balance of power. 2 trillion lives, Martine said quietly. She straightened. Decision made. Deploy the fleet. Full emergency protocols. Save those worlds. The order went out instantly. Across Earth's orbital shipyards, vessels that had never been seen by alien eyes powered up their engines. The UES Prometheus, humanity's most advanced dreadnought, led a fleet of specialized emergency response ships. They jumped to hyperspace using drive technology that made council systems look primitive. The journey that would have taken alien vessels weeks was completed in hours. Captain Elena Vasquez, recalled from retirement for this mission, stood on the Prometheus bridge as they emerged in vegan space. The sight that greeted them was catastrophic. The quantum reactor complex, a structure the size of a small moon, pulsed with unstable energy. All ships, deploy engineering teams immediately, she ordered. We have 90 minutes. Human engineers swarmed across the failing complex, their specialized equipment interfacing with systems they had secretly designed. Chief Engineer Michael Ross worked at the primary control node, his fingers flying across interfaces no alien could comprehend. The cascade is worse than we thought, he reported. The quantum matrix is folding in on itself. We need to create a counter-resonance pattern. Do it, Vasquez ordered. Across the galaxy, monitoring stations watched in amazement as human ships moved with impossible speed and precision. The technology on display exceeded anything in Council databases. On the Galactic Council emergency session, Chancellor Vexthor watched the live feeds in stunned silence. How are they moving so fast? Those energy signatures. We have no reference for such power levels. They've been holding back, whispered the Altarian representative. For 4 centuries, they've been holding back. The human engineers worked with desperate efficiency. They injected counter-resonance waves into the quantum matrix, stabilized critical harmonics, and rerouted power through backup systems that aliens hadn't even known existed. With 3 minutes to spare, the cascade was halted. 2 trillion lives saved. As the immediate crisis passed, human ships remained in position, their true capabilities now revealed to the galaxy. Captain Vasquez opened a channel to the vegan leadership. Supreme Coordinator, the immediate threat has been neutralized. However, your systems will need complete overhauls to prevent future incidents. The vegan leader's bioluminescent form pulsed with emotion. You saved us. After we cast you out, after we scorned you. Why? Because that's what humans do, Vasquez replied simply. The revelation sent shockwaves through Council space. Emergency sessions convened on every member world. The technological disparity was staggering. Humanity hadn't just caught up during their centuries of service. They had surpassed the Council exponentially. On Earth, President Martinez addressed the United Nations in a historic session. For 400 years, we served the Galactic Council. We accepted restrictions on our development, limitations on our rights, because we believed in gradual change. We helped them, healed them, connected them, all while they denied us equal status. She paused, looking directly into the cameras broadcasting to the galaxy. When we left, we didn't abandon our responsibility to life itself. We've watched the suffering, debated our response, and now acted to prevent catastrophe. The question is, what happens next? Within hours, delegations from major council powers requested audiences with Earth's leadership. For the first time in galactic history, aliens came to humanity as supplicants. The Quirian ambassador arrived first, his gaseous form compressed into a protective suit. We offer full council membership with permanent Security Council status and veto power. The same terms you denied us for 4 centuries, Foreign Secretary Singh asked pointedly. We recognize our error, the ambassador admitted. Similar offers flooded in from other species. Full membership, trade partnerships, military alliances, technology exchanges. The desperation was palpable. But Earth's response surprised everyone.